What is up, everybody? Welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you, and I am coming to you from the site of the 2026 NFL Combine here in downtown Indianapolis, the Indianapolis Convention Center. Going to be here all week. General Manager John Lynch is scheduled to speak with the media tonight at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll have that full interview up on the San Francisco 49ers Report. Then I'll react individually to what he had to say, because this is a big offseason coming up for San Francisco. A lot of questions around this football team, and there's a lot to talk about with John Lynch, so be on the lookout for all of that coverage right here on the show. Also giving you a bunch of YouTube shorts, and give me a follow while you're at it on social media. I'm on X, Instagram, TikTok, at Chase_Senior, and you can give me a follow on Facebook as well. Really been pumping out the content there. Just search Chase Senior Chat Sports. NFL draft coming up, NFL free agency prior to that getting underway on March 9th. I've got you covered every step of the way with the most elite Niners coverage right here on YouTube. So lock us in, join the movement, and hit that sub button. What I want to get into here is the latest around Tyler Linderbaum, the Baltimore Ravens star center, potentially signing with the 49ers. And also, we have a Maxx Crosby trade update from none other than Raiders general manager John Spytek. Be on the lookout for that. That's coming up a little bit later here on this video. Let's begin by talking about this Niners offensive line. And I feel as though I've been beating a dead horse, that I've been saying this time and time again every offseason, going all the way back to the 2021 season. This offseason, the 49ers, if they are serious about competing for a Super Bowl, if they want to catch the likes of the Seattle Seahawks, the Los Angeles Rams in their division, if they want to perform well against some of the top, most elite defenses in the National Football League, San Francisco needs to change their offensive line philosophy, and the Niners need to address and improve their offensive line. And you think back to that 2021 NFC Championship game against the Los Angeles Rams. What happened? The Niners up front were not good enough. They got worn down throughout the game. And then when the Niners blew that 17-7 fourth quarter lead at SoFi Stadium with an opportunity to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl, their offensive line broke down. Aaron Donald got the Jimmy Garoppolo. He got picked, game over. And that Niners magical run after they started that year 3-5 ended in heartbreak, and that quest for a sixth Super Bowl was put on pause for San Francisco. You think back to the 2022 NFC Championship game. That Philadelphia Eagles defensive line was able to cause a lot of destruction against the Niners offensive line. And I know that Tyler Kroft was the tight end who missed the block on Hassan Reddick. But that Eagles team that year led the NFL with 70 sacks. It was 15 more than any team across the National Football League. And I thought, regardless of who was back there at quarterback, the rookie Brock Purdy at the time, his backup Josh Johnson, Christian McCaffrey running snaps from the quarterback position, the Niners offensive line was not able to hold up against a vaunted pass rush for Philadelphia. You think back to the 2023 season. How did the Niners fare against the Baltimore Ravens on Christmas night? They were bullied up front in the trenches by Mike Macdonald's defense when Macdonald was the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. What happened in the Super Bowl when the Niners made it back to the Super Bowl for the first time since 2019? Their offensive line was in utter shambles. And at times in that game, Brock Purdy was running for his life. Now, of course, throughout that game, there were a bevy of missed opportunities for San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey fumbled on the opening drive that took at least 3 points off the board. It looked like the Niners were going to score a touchdown. Dre Greenlaw popping his Achilles. The Niners were defending Travis Kelce well before that. After that, Oren Burks, I think, gave up 9 catches on 9 targets. There was the fumbled punt on the miscommunication between Darrell Luter Jr. and Ray McCloud. That cost San Francisco. Next play, Patrick Mahomes was able to throw a touchdown right down the seam, and that got the Chiefs' offense going. Jake Moody had an extra point blocked in that game. But what happened late when the Niners had an opportunity to put that game on ice potentially and to win it, to hoist their 6th Lombardi trophy? Spencer Burford, a replacement-level guard who filled in for John Feliciano. Niners really missed him in that game. Went the wrong way, missed his assignment, did not block Chris Jones. If Brock Purdy had time, he had Jawan Jennings open. Brandon Ayuk on that play ran a filthy route. Purdy could have hit Brandon Ayuk, and the Niners could have won the Super Bowl. And so in Kyle Shanahan's offense, the 49ers are a productive offensive unit. and it is a run-heavy scheme. And when the Niners go up against bad to mediocre defenses, their offensive line can get by because of the play calling, the play designs, the overall offensive mind of Kyle Shanahan, and some of the talent that the Niners have had as a football team. But what has happened time and time again when the 49ers go up against some of the top defenses in the NFL? Just think back to the 2025 season when they went up against Houston, probably the second best defense in the NFL behind Seattle, maybe even better than that Seattle front. They couldn't block up front, and Mac Jones was under duress all game long. What happened against Seattle in Week 18 and then the divisional round? The Niners could not block anybody from that Seattle defense, and they were swarming Brock Purdy all throughout the duration of the game to the point where the Niners scored one touchdown in 8 quarters, and they got into the red zone only one time. It's unacceptable. And the 49ers have talked about this in the past, that they value players early in the draft who can score touchdowns, skill position players, as compared to offensive linemen. That has been their offensive line philosophy. But I really think that the Niners, in looking at how Seattle's team is put together on defense, the great defensive mind that Mike McDonald is, how the Niners have gone up against and have struggled against some of these upper echelon defenses, they need to get better up front, which brings me to Tyler Linderbaum. We have known, and we've talked about this plenty here on the show, that if the 49ers want to sign one of the top centers in football, Tyler Linderbaum, who is an excellent player, they're going to have to outbid other teams, and they're going to have to pay up. But that is a player who I think is worth it for San Francisco if they were to invest heavy dollars. They need to improve at center and at left guard. And what Tyler Linderbaum does, he helps out Dominic Pooney at right guard. He helps out the left guard, whoever that is. And in hindsight, to think that the 49ers went into the 2025 season content with Ben Barch as their left guard, it's a joke. And so Tyler Linderbaum is a player who is set to be a free agent. He's going to get top dollar at the center position. And a little while ago here in Indy, I spoke with Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta, and he provided us with an update on Tyler Linderbaum. The Ravens have been having conversations about a contract extension since the end of the year. The Ravens have offered Tyler Linderbaum a market-setting deal. That is important terminology here. Market-setting deal means that Tyler Linderbaum would become one of, if not the highest paid centers in the National Football League. Right now, Creed Humphrey is the highest paid center in the league at more than $18 million in average annual value. And so the Ravens, according to their general manager, who's making the decisions here, have an offer out to Linderbaum to give him a fat contract that could exceed $18 million. And I guarantee that the Niners are probably looking at that deal and they're saying, we're not going to pay a center $18 million per season. They have invested in centers in the past. Weston Richburg, Alex Mack. But Jake Brendel just isn't strong enough at the anchor point. When he goes up against some of these more physical interior defensive linemen, he always gets pushed back into the lap of Brock Purdy. And what's unfortunate is that Kyle Shanahan loves him. Kyle Shanahan has said time and time again, he thinks that Jake Brendel is one of the best centers in the NFL. He's just not. Now here's the clip from Eric DeCosta and what he said about Linderbaum, and then we'll get to some Maxx Crosby stuff right after this.
First of all, Tyler's a guy that I have tremendous respect for. Obviously he's proven to be, in my opinion, the best center in the league. We've been having conversations. We've had conversations since the end of the season. And at this point in time, we've made him a market-setting deal, proposal, offer, and hopefully we can get something done with him between now and the start of the new league year.
So the Ravens clearly value Linderbaum to the point where they are willing to invest in him to the level of making him arguably, potentially, the highest paid center in the NFL. Something else that Eric DeCosta talked about, and he comes from a great organization in the Baltimore Ravens that always values physicality. He said, like Howie Roseman talks about, he loves to build his teams inside out, and they like to bulk up front to control the line of scrimmage. Unfortunately for the Niners, they have invested in the defensive line over time under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. But they continue to neglect the offensive line, and we'll see if they can outbid Baltimore for Tyler Linderbaum. But Eric DeCosta, he's learned from one of the best GMs in the history of football, and Ozzie Newsome. This is where the Niners really struggle at times, is I don't think that always their focus is in the right areas, and that's a big reason why their lack of offensive line play being good enough, why they haven't been able to win a Super Bowl under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. Even going back to 2019 against the Kansas City Chiefs, I didn't think that the Niners offensive line performed well enough to win that Super Bowl. As for Maxx Crosby, a major topic of conversation that has dominated headlines already here in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine, and one that has owned and possessed headlines throughout this NFL offseason. What happens with Raiders star pass rusher Maxx Crosby? Is he going to return to Las Vegas in 2026? Is he going to get traded? John Spytek, a couple of podiums away from me, addressed the media a little while ago. He said that Maxx Crosby will be a Raider in 2026. He expects that to happen. His communication with Crosby is really good. As we know, no general manager is going to come out here and say, yeah, one of the top players in the National Football League, we're going to trade him. I don't think that he's going to be with us in the future. Like with any general manager who I talked to and have talked to over the last couple of years, Howie Roseman even said this today about A.J. Brown, general managers will take calls on any player, because they wouldn't be doing their job if they hit that decline button on the cell phone and didn't take a call from another GM because of this reason. What if another team offers a crazy trade package for that player? Now, for Maxx Crosby, we'll get to John Spytek here in a moment. There is some risk, right? Yes, he's one of the best, most elite pass rushers in the game. Since coming into the NFL in 2019, he has also been one of the best run defenders in the NFL. The Niners really value that at the defensive end spot. But he's coming off of meniscus surgery. He's getting a little bit older. He's had some injuries over the last couple of years. And for an organization that hasn't been able to escape the injury bug since 2013, that's a little bit of a red flag. And his cap hit in 2026 is going to be north of $30 million. But as I talked about, the Niners have invested into the defensive line under Shanahan and Lynch. Can you imagine a defensive end combination of Nick Bosa and Maxx Crosby? And San Francisco has shown interest in Crosby before. One of the other concerns is the asking price, right? 2 first-round picks, I'd say no. 1 first-round pick and additional assets, I'd think about it. But here's Raiders general manager John Spytek on Maxx Crosby's trade rumors.
Maxx is an elite player, and I've been very upfront from the start when I got here that, you know, we're in the business of having really good players on the team, and we need a lot more of them. And, you know, it's hard to build a great team without elite players. Maxx and I have a great relationship. He's in the building every day, getting healthy right now. We talk on the phone, we text. So I have a great relationship with Maxx.
Now, as I'm recording this, it is 12:41 local time. We're in Eastern time here in Indianapolis. John Lynch is going to speak with the media a little bit later tonight at 5:30. So we're going to ask him a lot of Niners-related topics. And one of the things that I'm also interested in asking Lynch, how does San Francisco plan on approaching this offseason? Are they going to have that hybrid reset and rebuild, or are they going to go all in? I'll be here in Indianapolis all throughout the week, here until Saturday. We'll catch up with some draft prospects Wednesday through Saturday. Be on the lookout for that coverage. I'll pop around, chop it up with some other content creators, people who cover the National Football League. We'll have that John Lynch reaction and press conference up a little bit later. This is why you subscribe to the channel for nonstop Niners coverage right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. You're all the best, and if you're still watching, as I'm coming to you from the NFL Combine, give me a real one down in the chat.